All right, what is good? All right, PCS, what's going on? So today we're going to be focused on how I replace my 9 to 5 income in less than a year without worrying on how I'm gonna pay bills. What makes this session interesting is a lot of us are trying to go full time, and if you don't understand the strategies of what it actually takes from within you and what you need to do day to day, then it's going to be hard to do it. It took me 5 years to figure it out, but after about 5 years, we cracked the code and we were able to generate multiple six figures doing what we do, over hundreds of clients doing it, and I did it while working a full time job. I didn't just come straight out of college doing this full time. I was working a full time job since I graduated in 2012. So I was working full time jobs post graduation. Graduated in 2010 and then 2012 for my master's. So technically, since 2010, working in corporate, and from 2010 to 2020, I was I had corporate jobs. So for 10 years working 9 to 5, and then I figured out, okay, this is what I need to do, which is what I'm going to go through today. And then that is what allowed me to be able to go full time in the business. So here's what we're going to cover. One, how to get paid to do for coaching without quitting your 9 to 5 yet. What finally made me trust myself to go all in. That's very important. So you want to make sure you understand that. And then how I built my coaching business one lunch break at a time. This is important because a lot of us say, well, I'm trying to find the time to do it. I don't have the time. So we're going to cover that today. I want you to stay because part of this is at the end, I'm going to give you a free gift that's going to show you specifically the scripts and things that you need to actually say. Because as I go through these different frameworks, I'm not going to have time to go through everything, but I'm going to give you a free gift that's going to help you actually do this. So I want to make today pretty tactical for you. All right, so that is what we focused on. Now, my journey was this. I went to college, got my master's and my bachelor's degree. Was working full time. About 2015 is when I decided to go all in on this business. Right? Have you ever been working a full time job and then you like I don't know if this is quite it, or you having some issues with your manager, you having some issues with just the way that they treat you at the job, and you're like, I know I'm not going to be here forever. Am I the only one? I don't know. I know a lot of people that feel that way. I really in 2015 I decided that I wanted to start doing this industry. It wasn't until 2020 that it actually happened. So I've been like, I have a crossroads. I'm either going to stay at this job, which by the way, I didn't really want to stay because me and my manager was having friction. And I'm like, well, but if I don't stay, they're either gonna fire me or I'm gonna end up leaving. You ever felt like that? You ever been working a job? Some of us is here now. Some of us was like, yo, that was me months ago before I went full time, right? Some of us might be in a position right now. Are you in a position where you understand what I'm saying with this, right? So this is where I was in 2020. So I decided that I said, you know what, I'm gonna go all in. I said, because at the end of the day, I said it would be great if I can just do this business full time, replace my 9 to 5 income, and just make it happen. And that one decision changed my life. So fast forward, about 10 months later, so we got the pandemic. So it's Armageddon outside, it's going crazy. Then I got fired. So they end up letting me go from the job. And I had my son. My son was born the same week. So you can imagine the kind of madness it's going on, right? You ever felt like I have just like a lot going on at once, and now it's like, oh my God, now is the time to act. Now is the time to make something happen. And that's where I was at. So but I'm glad that during that period, I went all in, because when I got let go, I was already at 15K a month. And I've been full time ever since. So it's important to know what to do, because my first 5 years I couldn't do it, but I did it in less than a year. So what changed? So that's where we're really going to focus. That's we focus on our attention at. So first, let's get right into it. The first thing we need to do is I need you to create your coaching offer. I need you to create your coaching offer. Your offer includes a couple different things, and I'll write some of them down. So Number one, when we talk about creating your offer, because everything relies off this. Like this is like the engine to your business. So if you can't get this going, then you're not going to even be able to make money to go full time. So you need a couple things for your offer, right? So one, you need to have your curriculum plus bonuses plus price. Okay, your curriculum plus your bonuses plus your price. These are minimum, because you need to know what you're teaching people. If you don't understand the steps of what you're teaching people to achieve a goal, nobody's going to want to work with you. Even if they do decide to work with you, they're not going to stay, because you're not clearly defined in terms of how they're going to hit their goal. So at some point, they're going to feel like it's taking too long for me to hit my goal. I can just find somebody else or find a different way to try to achieve my goal. So first thing we got to do if you want to go full time is you got to come up with your curriculum, which we like 12 steps. So what is your 12-step process in order to reach your goal? We like bonuses. This is like the additional resources and deliverables you're going to give people in order to hit their goal. So I usually tell our members, I'll say, all right, come up with your curriculum. What are your steps to achieve a very specific outcome for a very specific target audience? And then I'll say, okay, now list 3 to 5 deliverables, bonuses that you're going to give in addition to that. I like to relate those bonuses to the steps that they're going to struggle with the most. Then come up with your price. What are you charging? Minimum, this is what you need to start. You don't have to have all of the bonuses already laid out. These are things that you set expectations on, and you can just let them know this is something that you will create at a future date. Even if you didn't add the bonuses, I like to add them because it makes it increases the perceived value of the offer. So if you want to charge $2,000, you might add some bonuses that they might feel like it's worth $5,000. They might feel like it's worth $10,000 or $20,000, depending on the type of bonuses you offer. So I like to add the bonuses because it makes it easier for people to pay the price. You don't even have to add that, but those are the things that is that's gonna make it better. By the way, I call this an executive offer. That's just our lingo, executive. I like to call it excuse my handwriting, but I like to call it an executive offer. So that allows you to be able to do that. Once I started putting together my packages, I started realizing that people, are more attracted to it. Because at first, I was first trying to offer things and people weren't really paying my prices. So I'm like, man, how am I going to really like make the money I want to make to go full time at this thing? And this was prior to me going full time. I was just putting things together, but I didn't really think about what I was going to offer. So I remember feeling like, man, like, is this going to work? Like nobody's attracted to it. People aren't buying. You ever felt like, you tried to tell people about what you have, or maybe you already have an offer and you've been telling people about it. Like, yo, this is what I have. This is how I can help. But you're hearing crickets. Like nobody's seeming interested. You might start asking yourself some things, start questioning yourself a little bit, like, man, like people really interested in this? Can I really help people? That's where the imposter syndrome comes in. So then I felt it, but what helped change the game for me initially in start was my ability to create my executive offer, right? And so like these are the things that you want to be able to do, and don't worry about the people that says, oh, you got to have all of this created first, or this or that, or wait until everything is done. You're gonna have some people that's gonna try to delay the process, right? And like they'll say, oh, get everything ready, or get everything perfect, or do all of these things first before you start. You don't have to have everything ready first. When you first start, you need momentum. Don't worry about the people that says, you got to get everything right or perfect, or have an amazing product before you start. Don't worry about that, because you're going to iterate on it later. Those people are, if you hear anybody tell you that, they're talking to people that are more advanced because they've already started. When you're just getting started, or when I say getting started, don't lose my translation, because you can be very experienced. You have 25 years experience in business, but just be getting started. You know what I'm saying? Like 25 years experience and just be getting started. Does that make sense? I had a lady that I had a conversation with, and she had 20 years of experience. She had more experience than me. And I'm like, okay, all right, so where are we trying to get you? 20K a month, 30K a month, where are we trying to get you? And she's like, I'm still trying to make my first 5K. And I looked at her and said, 5K a month? And she said, no, 5K period. And it just made me realize that, yeah, she had 20 years of experience in what she did, but she was just getting started in business because she never took the first step. She never packaged it. She never priced it. She never put it together. She never started telling people about it. So she couldn't make it happen. So done is better than perfect. Slow motion is better than no motion. This is why I say that. This is why this is my quote. Slow motion is better than no motion. And if you can't get yourself to make motion and put this together, you so far behind you even trying to achieve your dream, like it's going to take you forever to do that. So that's very key. All right. So you have to create that executive offer. That's super key. Okay. And actually I actually added a couple different other elements to it. But your executive offer is what that is, right? So, and actually these should be where these other arrows is at, because that's what I include, right? So I include the bonuses, and then like I said, pricing and pricing. All right. So all right, that's the first three. So boom. Okay. So now that I got that, what's the next element to it? Is that's just because remember, I'm telling you what I did to replace my 9 to 5, right? So the next thing I did is once I really got clear on the offer that people wanted, then I started focusing on, okay, all right, let's focus. I have to have a presence, right? So I focused on a content system. Okay. So that's number 2. Second thing I focused on was a content system. This content system, meaning I have to have a system to make content consistently. If you can't create content consistently, do you know how hard it is for people to trust you? People are not just going to trust you just because you have a program. They're going to trust you based on what they see. They're not living in your house with you. They're not hanging out with you every day. So how are they going to trust you if they don't see you? They have to see you every day. They have to see you consistently show up. They have to see you consistently teaching and helping and showing testimonials. And these are the things that's going to actually make it happen, because that was one of my difficulties too. Because then now I'm like, okay, all right, I'm out here and, and I had what we call the post and pray syndrome. The post and pray syndrome. I remember posting, right? And I'm putting out content. I'm like, the gurus is telling me to put stuff out. And but I'm like, yo, like, why am I not getting the bites? I'm not getting DMs. People, I'm getting some likes, but people aren't reaching out to me to say I want to work with you. And that's kind of frustrating. You ever felt like that? Like, yo, I'm out here. I'm putting in the work. I'm doing the posts. Maybe you going live and you're like, okay, I'm doing that. You put it out. You commenting on people's stuff. You active. You ever been active online, but you're still wondering why the clients aren't coming? Why aren't you making money? Why aren't people coming through? Well, it's for a couple reasons. One, you're either not visible. So that's one, meaning you're not consistent. And there was a point in time where I lack consistently with content, right? There's a reason why you see me here every week, right? You see me every day. Maybe you're on my email list and you see me posting. There's a level of consistency that comes with trust. So people are not going to trust you if, one, you're not showing up. So obviously you have to show up and put out content. But two, if you're not putting out the type of content that is going to allow people to see that you're the expert in what you do, then that's also going to make it hard, right? So they got to see you. They got to see you consistently, and they have to see you put out the right types of content. So once I started doing that, that is when things started to I started to get more people who were interested in talking to me. And that's a clear indicator, right? Because now I'm getting on calls with people. And I remember this one particular call, actually it was like last year. And the lady was like, yeah, I've been following you for 6 years. I'm like, wow, it's like 6 years. And it didn't even register to me because like her name didn't look familiar or anything. So I was like, you've been following me for 6 years. She said, wow, okay. She said, yeah, I have a lot going on in my life. And, but now is the time that I really want to start the coaching and get it going. And I said, okay. I said, okay, well, what made you, continue to follow me? She said, you just keep putting out content. And she said, I love your consistency. I've actually gotten clients just based on my consistency. People are seeing like, yo, you just keep showing up every day. You keep showing up every week. You keep putting out content. I've gotten clients off of consistency. And I'm telling you, I talk to at least 1,000 people every year individually. I'm not even talking live events that I do. I'm not talking about webinars. I'm talking about strictly like one-on-ones. And that's the interesting thing. about it is that you got to consistently show up, and it's about the quality, of course, too, but you got to like just put out the content. So when you put it out, people they want to work with you, right? So that's the whole idea. Is they got to see you. Attention is where you want to be, and you can't get attention if you're not putting it out. Period. You can't get attention if you're not putting it out. And that's really what it is. Like, attention is the new currency right now. So you got to be able to get attention, and that's going to be showing up, especially with your logarithms. They don't show your stuff to everybody. So you have to be more consistent. Okay. So you have to have a content system in order to be able to do that. All right, Coach Steve. So what does the content system look like? So our process is this. Is one, we come up with what we put out in terms of content is related to the curriculum. This is why having the curriculum that we talked about in the first step is important, because now I have the curriculum and I know these are the topics that I'm talking about. I like to look at this as a movie, right? So let's say you see a trailer to a movie, and you're like, oh wow, that's a good movie. I want to go watch the movie if it's a good trailer. But if the trailer is trash, you don't like it, you're not going to spend your time, effort, and energy going to the movie to watch it, or even going to Netflix and watch it, wherever you're watching it. So I look at the content that I put out as the trailer to the movie. Because now when I put out the content, if they like the trailer, if they like the content, if they like, yo, Terrell, Coach T actually got something that that he can help me with, that because I'm struggling with this particular problem. He seems knowledgeable enough to be able to help me. You know what? I'm willing to have a conversation. I'm willing to jump on a Zoom. I'm willing to watch a training. I'm willing to, download an ebook or something, whatever he's having. I'm willing to do it because I got enough value based on what I'm seeing. Does that make sense? So that's the idea behind it, right? So you want people to trust you. All right. So that's the second thing I did. Third thing that I did is I'm sharing with you how I went full time. So I'm hoping that you're catching these different angles. Third thing I did is I got leads plus booked appointments. We keeping this serious. We keep it simple. I started getting leads and I booked appointments. Leads, I'm telling you what I prioritized in my day. There's 100 things you could do. These are the things that I prioritized. I started getting leads and booking appointments, right? So so there's a couple of different things that we could do in this. This is important because if every day I'm looking at your calendar, let's say we had a call, right? Let's say I'm coaching you and we get on a call together and I say, how many people have you spoke to last week? If every time I talk to you, the answer is 0 or 1 or, oh yeah, I got 2, or, and it's like, you don't have a consistent level of people that you're speaking to. This is how we make money in our industry, period. Nobody's going to go to your website and drop $2,000, $5,000 to work with you. It's not going to happen. They want to talk to their coach. If somebody's going to be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars to work with you, minimum, I need to talk to my coach. So if you're not optimizing and prioritizing appointments, you're not prioritizing the very activity that it takes for you to even get the result. That's like saying, I want to be a bodybuilder, but I asked you how many days a week you worked out, and the answer is 0. It's like, what? Are you serious about being a bodybuilder? There's no way you could be serious about being a bodybuilder, but you're not even working out. That's like the minimum. It's like want to go to the NBA, but you ain't play basketball last week. What? I was just watching shout out to Gilly and Wallow for $1 million worth of game. They just played in the combine with Rich Paul. Rich Paul is LeBron James's agent. And so he does this combine, which is basically at the time we doing this, right? The NBA draft is coming up. So he's prepping players in order to get ready for the NBA draft. So like they're practicing multiple times a day. Like they practicing 5 hours every single day, getting better, running, drills, shots, threes, like all types of drills to get them in shape and to make sure that they're ready. So by the time it comes to the NBA draft, they have a higher likelihood of getting drafted, right? Not that it's guaranteed, but they have a higher likelihood because they're putting in the work to make themselves position themselves above other players. Does that make sense? So it's the same thing in what we do, right? It's like if you want to put yourself in the best position to get clients so you can go full time and make money, then you have to put yourself in the position by doing certain activities every day. And I'm telling you, the activities to do every day is leads and book appointments. Those are the activities. Now, there's two things that we can do in addition to that. One is you can do warm outreach. Warm outreach is basically I'm connecting with people individually. You should be putting out content. You should be engaging with everybody. And then what that's going to do is when you're engaging with them on social media, then you take the conversation to a DM. The DM is where you're going to book the appointment with people. We have a whole script. I don't have time in this training, but I'm going to give you a resource at the end. Remember I was telling you about the script at the beginning? I'm going to give you a resource that's going to tell you exactly what you need to do on social media to create the engagement and then finish the conversation in the DM so you have the ability to actually book the appointment. We don't have time today, but that's something that you're gonna want to use in order to actually book the appointments. You have to optimize for that. All right. So you got to get the leads. This is people we can talk to. You have to find your audience, and then you book appointments. You have a conversation with this audience, and you book an appointment to meet with them. And a certain percentage of them will be clients. All right. And that's what leads us to number 4, which is what we call client conversions. Client conversions. That's number 4, right? Client conversions. So when we talk about client conversions, you got to know how to have the conversation. If you do not know how to have the conversation, then it's going to make it hard for you. Or if you're afraid to have the conversation, it's going to make it hard. So, so the 2 ways, right? It was warm outreach, and then the other one is ads, right? So those were the 2 ways, right? So those are like the 2 fast ways. If I'm talking to somebody new, ads or warm outreach, engaging online. So now you got these leads, now you got these appointments. So now I'm looking at your calendar and you have appointments. I know that you're converting clients when you're actually getting money and getting paid. That's how I know that what you're doing is the right things. So when I started having these calls, one, I was slow to make the calls. This is like before I started doing the right activities to go full time. And then I started doing the right activities that allowed me to go full time. So what changed is before I was afraid to make these calls. I'm like, people don't really want to hear from me. They maybe they're not interested. It was nervousness. I was afraid. I didn't like rejection. So I gave myself all of these excuses that, maybe they're not interested. They with their family, maybe I shouldn't call them. Maybe I shouldn't reach out to them. Like I wouldn't, like if somebody didn't pick up the first time, I wouldn't call them back. I wouldn't follow up with them. I wouldn't do any of those because I was nervous. And guess what? Because I was nervous and I wouldn't reach out to people as often, and I wouldn't follow up if somebody didn't answer or whatever the case is. So now that gave me less of an opportunity to try to help people. So that was an issue. Had another issue where I would be on calls and I would be afraid to say what my price is. I'll get to the end and start fumbling and start stuttering, or I'll say the price and say, if you can't afford it, no, that's okay. We can work it out, and you could get 29. You could do a 29 payment installment plan, right? They come up with all of these things and basically start backpedaling. When I get on a call, I would also make mistakes of talking too much. I remember I would get on these calls. And this one particular call, I'm training. I'm talking to this guy, right? And I basically gave a training on the call. So I'm on a call and I'm like, yeah, you can do this, do that. Yeah, you got to focus on this. And I'm giving like a full blown training, right? And guess what? And at the end, I say, yeah, and we could work together. And and my price is this. And then he says, okay, wow. We said, first of all, thank you. You gave me a lot to think about. First red flag. A lot to think about. And then also, I like all of the suggestions that you gave me. So let me go try that stuff first, and then I'll come back. You feel what I'm saying? I'm like, oh my God. And it wasn't until I hired a sales coach who started listening to my calls, and he said, whoa, you giving too much training. You giving people a false sense of security that that they can do it on their own, because they take certain nuances, they take certain, there is a certain level of execution, and there's certain feedback that you need to be able to give them for them to be able to get the result that they're looking for, especially in a time frame that they're looking for, right? And so you're just doing overtraining, and you're giving that false sense of confidence. But I didn't really know until I started hiring a coach, and it actually started listening to my calls. This is the reason why you want to have coaching, by the way, too, right? Is I know you got ChatGPT and Google and YouTube and all of this stuff where you can get some, you kind of get some decent information, but you need somebody who's going to keep you accountable, and you need somebody who can listen to it and really give you a specific strategy that you need to keep you accountable to get these things done. And I'm glad that I had that sales coach, because that's what helped me with my conversions. Because at first I didn't have anybody signing up. It was like far and few in between, and I definitely wasn't able to charge high ticket. So, but once I started getting the coaching, then that's really what helped me take that to the next level. You know what I mean? And you're gonna have some people out here that's gonna say, oh, start with the low ticket, and just get your confidence and start up. And I'm gonna say this is my philosophy on that. You can start with high ticket. It's just a certain way. You have to have a certain strategy to do it, because you have to be able to position your offer in a certain way. You have to show a certain level of confidence in order to charge higher ticket. And at the end of the day, people will pay more money if they feel like what they're getting is worth more, period. That's just what it is, right? If somebody goes into a dealership, they'll pay $50,000 for a car. They'll pay $250,000 for a car. They'll pay for a Cybertruck. They'll pay for a Lamborghini. And guess what? It doesn't even matter the person that's selling it to them. Because if they feel like they're going to get a good deal on whatever they're getting, then they're going to be more likely to get it. Now, obviously, if you're doing something that's completely like, that's going to blow their mind, or you making all of these big, huge mistakes, then obviously, that's going to make them not want to do it. But at the end of the day, if the offer is good enough and you have confidence, they're going to want to work with you. Confidence in a great offer is a beautiful formula. So how do we have these conversations, right? So there's 4 different ways we have these conversations. Like, so let's say now you're on strategy calls, consultation calls, whatever, right? So how do you do that? So first thing we do is we get rapport on the call, because you get on a call, you're just meeting somebody, just probably the first time or second time you're talking to them. So build some rapport. Second thing, I like to focus on, basically questions, right? So we call it, so we got rapport, and and then I'm gonna go with the questions right now, because I don't even know why I can't even think of my own framework right now. So the second part is the questions, right? So then once you start asking your questions, then what we're gonna do is presentation, recommendation. So your recommendation is, okay, now that I learned about you, which is what good coaches do, by the way, you ask questions first. Then you go to recommendations. Recommendations is, now I'm going to tell you, this is where people go crazy with the coaching. Don't do that. You do give a couple recommendations because you do want to give value, but you're just hitting the highlights, the high points. You're not going deep. So you hit the highlights in terms of what they're going to learn. All this is a summary of your 12 steps in your coaching program, in your curriculum that we went through. That's all it really is. You're saying, okay, here's what you need to do. First, you need to do this. You need to do step 2, step 3, step 4. And this is you just walking them through the steps in terms of what they need to do. You're not going deep. You ain't spending 20 minutes on this. You just hitting the points. Then they're going to say, okay, I see the strategy. I see the roadmap. You're giving them the roadmap. Once they have the roadmap, now we go from presentation into recommendation into presentation. Presentation is now where you actually present what you have. Guess what? We already did it in the first step, right? So now you're telling them, this is where you're going through. Okay, here's what the bonuses you get. We're going to meet for this amount of time. We're going to have a group. We're going to do worksheet. You're going to get worksheets. You're going to get this. You're going to get access to that, whatever. You're going to get a course. This is where you go through your offer, right? That's what the presentation is, right? And then you have to learn how to overcome objections, because some people, you got to remember, the people in your audience, the reason they don't have the result is because they have some belief that's stopping them or slowing them from actually getting that result. Because if they already would have had that mindset, they would already be doing it. Think about that. Think about that. They will already be doing it. They will already have the result, right? So now it's your job to help them see a different way, help them see a different perspective, right? Their perspective, I can't start because of this. I can't start because I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I'm telling you, people tell me they don't have the time. I got people that's way busy than you. I got people that's full-time in military, 2-3 job, 5 kids, they stick taking care of their mother. You know, like you ain't saying, trust me, I've helped people that's way busy than you, right? But it's how you looking at it. Because think about, I've had somebody one time, you know, she's like, oh, I don't really have the, you know, I really want to do this, but I don't have the time because, you know, I don't have, you know, 30 to 40 hours to put towards building this business every week because I run a full-time job. And I said, wait, I said 30 to 40 hours a week. I said, who told you you needed that much time? She said, I just thought that I needed that much time. I said, no. I said, you could do this in like 5 to 10 hours a week. 5 to 10 hours a week. I said, the more hours you put in is good, but you don't have to. I said 5 to 10 hours a week. You know, if you can do 30 minutes to an hour a day, try to do something, even if you can't do every day, you know, do every other day. I said, you have more time on weekends. Did you work on weekends? She said, no. I said, you could do it on weekends. I said, 5 to 10 hours, put in a couple hours on the weekend, put in a couple hours during the week. And I said, as you start to get clients and you start to make money, then you can start hiring out. And she said, oh, actually, now that you say that, then actually, if I start making money, I could reduce the hours during my daytime job. Now breakthroughs are happening now, right? So that's so then now I had her see a different perspective and she came in as a client. Do you see what I'm saying? Like this is what we do. This is what we do. This is why we do what we do as coaches, is to help people see a different way so we can remove the roadblocks and you can actually take action to get the result that we're promising them. So this is why I love coaching. And these are the things that I did to be able to go full time. You know what I mean? And I didn't have, so I didn't have, so these are the things I did. But as I'm thinking about this, like I started off like everybody else, like full-time job, and I built my business on my lunch break. You know what I'm saying? Like, so this is how I was able to trust myself to go full time. But then also, this is how I literally did it during my lunch break. You know, my last job, I was working at Johnson & Johnson. This is out in Jersey. I live in New York City, right? And I was working out in Jersey, driving out to Jersey every day to go work. And during my lunch break, I would wake up. First of all, I would wake up early, and I would try to work on my business. Sometimes I would wake up late. I couldn't even work on my business in the morning. But my goal was I want to at least book one appointment a day, and I said I had an hour lunch break. So I said, my goal is I want to book one appointment a day, and I want to at least be able to do it during my lunch break. And that's what I did. I was just focused. I was locking in. I was working it. I was working like doing the things that I could. You know, I was in coaching programs, and I'm like just trying, you know, getting better, focusing. And then I got to a point where now a couple of times a week, I got a person. Okay, Monday, I got one. Tuesday, got one. Thursday, got one. Okay, Tuesday, got one. Wednesday, got one. Friday. And then that started happening where boom, like I started getting momentum, and then I got one like every day. And now I'm talking to people for 30 minutes to an hour on the call. Guess what? Now I'm talking to 5 people a week, you know. Then things started happening. First, I'm talking to 5 people in a week. Nobody was signing up. Then I kept doing it, kept learning. What am I doing wrong? What can I fix? What can I change? Right? Started doing that more often. Right? Then hired a coach that helped me, started listening to my calls. So boom, I got 1 here. Boom, got 2 out of 5 there. And this is how it started to progress. It didn't happen overnight, but I started to get better and better. So in a year, what I couldn't do in my first 5 years, I was able to go full time and make $15K a month in less than a year from this exact process that I just walked you through. Right? So I'm hoping you're getting some breakthroughs, right? Hope you're getting some breakthroughs. Remember, slow motion is better than no motion. All right. So here's what I did to replace my 9 to 5. I'm gonna give you a recap. 1, I created what we call an executive offer. That is my curriculum. That is the bonuses, and that is the price. Okay. Then number 2, I created a content system that allowed me to go full time. This gave me, it allowed me to put out more content consistently. Excuse me. So then that allowed people to trust me more. Then I started getting leads and booking appointments. I started focusing on that. That got me the ability to get in front of more people. Then I started getting focusing on my client conversions and saying, okay, what do I actually need to say? Because I don't have a script. Like, how do I need to say it? You know, like, how do I have these phone calls? Am I teaching and training too much? Am I not? You know, am I overconfident? Am I not confident enough? You know, am I getting the right people on the call? Am I not? These are the things that I had to figure out. And I'm glad that I brought in some outside help to be able to do that. Right. And then I found that, and then I made time during the week. I tried to make a little bit of time before work because I actually work better in the mornings because I'm more of a morning person. But then I also said I have a goal. I'm gonna try to get one appointment a day. For me, I said I'm gonna try to do it during my lunch break. And then when I got home, I tried to do what I could when I got home, and just, you know, and just made it work. And what I realized, this is like a bonus tip for you. I realized being productive and focus is not about adding things. It's more about removing things from your schedule. It's not about addition. It's about subtraction. Coach T, what do you mean? So, you know, when you try to be productive, a lot of times we'll say, oh, let me try this, you know, this Pomodoro technique. You know, oh, let me, you know, try this timer. Let me add. So you're adding things, right? Oh, let me add this app. Let me use this. So you're adding things for your schedule to do, but you're already busy, right? But now you're adding more things to do, right? So instead of you doing that, what actually works, so this is also what helped me go full time, is that instead of me adding more things, like the first 5 years, I just try adding things. The year that I was able to actually go full time and leave my job, I removed things from my schedule. So there were certain organizations that I had to, I felt I had to fall back from doing the activities. Some of this is gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. I ain't gonna lie to you. I had to fall back on doing some of the activities as part of some of the organizations that I was in, right? So there might be some groups or organizations you in. If you're really serious about making an impact in the world, if you're really serious about making the type of money you want to make every month, you got to remove things from your schedule. So maybe you can't join every meeting. Maybe you can't go to every event. You see what I'm saying? There was sports that I used to watch. I used to watch a lot of games, from football and basketball and boxing. I used to watch everything. You know, now I'll watch, you know, the NBA finals. I'll watch the Super Bowl. I watch the big boxing matches, but I don't watch everything. I catch highlights when I can, right? So I do that. I was playing video games more. I probably play a game maybe like once a year. I might play like Madden or NBA 2K. I'll play like once a year. You know what I mean? Like having these long, drawn out conversations. I'll be, you know, all of these things are taking time is my point. I'm doing a lot of things that took up a lot of time. So I just started removing things, and then replacing it with these activities. And as a result, by the time I got let go of the job, or I would have walked away, one of the two, something was gonna happen this year or that year. Then by the time that I got let go 10 months later, thank God I started doing these activities because I was already good. I'm like, great. Retired from corporate America at the age of 32, haven't looked back since. See what I'm saying? So this is the game right here. Like, this is what you need to be able to do. All right. So with that, what's gonna help, first of all, hopefully you loving this. And if you are, you know, give this some likes, you know, let me like, give me a comment. Let me know that you really love this. There was something that I mentioned on here, right? In terms of leads and client conversions. So I told you I'm gonna give you something. So here's your gift for staying to the end. Shout out to you. So I'm gonna give you what we call, I just created a new ebook, and it's called The Easy Way to Find People Who Will Pay You. The Easy Way to Find People Who Will Pay You. And this is an ebook. This is a new ebook that I just created, right? And in this ebook, it tells you how to engage with people on social media, and it also tells you how to have a conversation with them in DM, and then it also tells you how to actually book them on a call. Right? Like, how do you have a conversation? Because sometimes you don't really know. Like, you could be DMing people that you could help, and they really could need the help. Is what I'm saying. Like, this is exact. You be like, oh my God, like I could really help this person. Have you ever felt like that before? Like, you ever been talking to somebody like, oh, I could help this person. Oh, they have the problem. Like, I can solve this problem for you. I can help you with this. Have you ever felt like that? But then you never ended up helping the person, or they never became a client. Make you scratch your head, right? Like, wait, but I can help this person. Like, why are they not interested? right? Is because of how you're doing it. It's not that they're not a good client for you, is that you don't know how to have the conversation. You're saying things that's turning them off, or you giving them a false sense of confidence, or there's certain things that you're doing that's making them turn away, that's making them not reach out. You think they woke up that morning and said, "Oh, I'm just gonna ghost. I'm gonna ghost you. Oh, I'm just not gonna respond. Oh, you know what? When they reach out to me today, ooh, I can't wait. As soon as they reach out, I'm gonna say I'm good. Maybe another time." You think they woke up with that on their mind that morning? No, they didn't. It's something that you said, is what I'm saying. It's something that you did that made that thought come up. Well, if you actually had the strategy on how to do it and what to say, then guess what? You will be booking more people on your calendar, booking more appointments, and you'll be making more money. So the name of this ebook is called The Easy Way. The easy way to find people who will pay you. And so if you want access, if you want to download this ebook, just go ahead and put find clients in the comment, find clients in the comments. And then what I'll do is I'll send it to you. Okay. So go ahead and do that. Hopefully you're part of my school community. If you're not, make sure there should be a link around here somewhere. If you're seeing this on the YouTube somewhere, you got to go inside of our group, and then I'll give you access to it. All right. If you're already seeing this from inside of the group, then just go ahead and send me just comment on. You can just comment on this post. Find clients, and then I'll get you access. I'll get you access to this ebook. All right. So you can start, so you can know exactly the script of what to say. All right. So continue to go out and be great. And remember, slow motion is better than no motion. Let's work.